Have you ever walked into a room and felt invisible? Like you were just there, not seen, not heard, not respected. It's not that people hate you. It's worse. They don't notice you at all. You shake hands, you smile, you say the right things. But deep down you feel small, powerless, like you're missing something important, something real. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Being a powerful man isn't about money, muscles, or being the loudest guy in the room. Real power is quiet. It's the way you carry yourself, the way you walk, talk, act, even when no one's watching. And it comes from something deeper. Principles. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 timeless principles that have shaped history's strongest men and can completely change how the world sees you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. These principles are simple, but most men ignore them, and because of that, they stay stuck, invisible, frustrated, and weak. Don't let that be you. Stick with me. Let's uncover what it really takes to become dangerously powerful. Principle 1, don't just avoid evil, do good. Alright, let's dive into principle number 1. And I want you to really hear this one because it's where most men get stuck. Don't just avoid evil, do good. Sounds simple, right? But let's break it down. See, most guys go through life thinking, I'm a decent guy, I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't hurt anyone. And sure, that's great, you're not doing anything bad. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The absence of bad doesn't automatically mean the presence of good. Let me repeat that. Just because you're not doing harm doesn't mean you're doing good. That kind of mindset, I just need to stay out of trouble, keeps men in the neutral zone. And let me tell you, neutral is where dreams go to die. The moral scale of life. Think of life like a moral scale. On one side, you have negative actions, hurting others, lying, being selfish, manipulative. On the other, you have positive actions, helping, uplifting, protecting, serving, creating. And right in the middle, that's neutral. Now, most men live in neutral. They don't cause problems, but they don't solve them either. They don't hurt others, but they don't help either. They don't lie life, but they don't speak up when others do. Neutral might feel safe, but in reality, it's just playing small. And here's the key. Powerful men don't play neutral. They tilt the scale every day in small ways toward the positive. Example, the missed moment at work. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're in a team meeting at work. Someone throws a subtle jab at a colleague, maybe about their idea or their accent or something passive-aggressive. Everyone laughs nervously. No one says anything, you feel it. That little fire inside that says that wasn't right, but you stay quiet, you stay neutral. Later you tell yourself, well, at least I didn't join in, I'm not like them. But here's the thing, that was a moment to be strong. To step in and say something like, hey, let's keep it respectful. Or even just, that wasn't cool. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just intentional. Just courageous, because powerful men aren't afraid to be the one who adds value to the moment, even when it's uncomfortable. Small actions, big ripples. Doing good doesn't mean you have to start a charity or save the world today. It can be as simple as helping an elderly person carry groceries, checking in on a friend who's been quiet lately, giving genuine praise to someone who's often overlooked, staying behind 5 minutes after a meeting to help a coworker catch up. These seem small, but they're not. They're how you train your character. Every act of good is a vote for the kind of man you want to become. And over time, those votes accumulate. They shape your identity. They build your confidence. They make you powerful. Not in a loud, flashy way, but in a deep, unshakable way. Being a protector of what's right. Let's go a level deeper. When you commit to doing good, you start becoming a protector of people, of principles, of truth. Imagine a world where more men did this, where more men stood up, spoke up, and reached out. We wouldn't just have fewer bad men, we'd have more great men. And that's what the world needs right now. More men who step into the gap, who lift others, who create safety, who lead with kindness and courage. And that starts with you. Yes, you. What happens when you don't do good? Now let's flip it. What happens when you don't do good? You might think, well, nothing happens. But that's not true. Every time you ignore that voice inside you, every time you walk past an opportunity to help, every time you choose comfort over courage, you reinforce weakness. You train yourself to be passive, not powerful. And over time, that becomes your identity. Challenge: the daily good deed. So here's a simple but powerful challenge I want to give you. Starting today, do one intentional act of goodness every day. Doesn't have to be big, but it has to be real. And if you want to take it further, keep a daily journal. Write down what you did and then write how it made you feel. You'll be amazed at how quickly your confidence grows, because you'll start seeing yourself not as a passive man, but as a positive force in the world. That shift changes everything. Recap this principle. Let's bring it back full circle. Don't just avoid doing bad. That's the bare minimum. Powerful men go beyond the minimum. They take positive action. They add value to the lives of others. They tip the moral scale of life toward the good, day after day. And here's the best part. You don't have to wait. You can start today, right now. Look around you. There's 100 chances waiting. Transition to principle 2. Now that we've covered the foundation, get ready. Because principle number 2 is where things get serious. It's all about being dangerously good. Not in a threatening way, but in a way that makes people feel safe around you, and enemies think twice. Let's get into it. Principle 2, be dangerously good. Welcome to principle number 2, and it's one of my favorites. Be dangerously good. Now, what do I mean by that? It's not about being violent. It's not about being a threat, and it's definitely not about walking around like some macho tough guy looking for a fight. No. What I mean is this: you should be the kind of man who is capable of real power, but chooses to use it wisely, with restraint, with virtue. A man who can protect, who can stand up when it matters, who can be dangerous, but never reckless, never cruel. The misunderstanding of goodness. Here's the thing. A lot of people think goodness is softness. They think being a good man means being passive, agreeable, maybe even weak. But true goodness, the kind that shapes nations and saves lives, is anything but soft. It's forged in fire. It's the type of goodness that knows when to speak up, when to push back, and when to draw a line in the sand. Power without control is chaos. Let me paint a picture. Imagine two men. One is physically strong, loud, full of opinions. But he can't control his temper. He reacts out of ego, lashes out when challenged, dominates out of fear. The second, he's calm, composed. He speaks slowly, but when he does, people listen. He doesn't get rattled. He doesn't need to prove anything. Guess which one people truly respect? Power without control is just noise, but controlled power, that's presence. That's what I mean by dangerously good. Example, the silent protector. Let me tell you a real story. There was a man I once worked with. He wasn't big, he wasn't loud. Honestly, if you met him at a coffee shop, you'd probably think he was just another quiet guy reading a book. But in high-pressure situations, he transformed. One time, a conflict broke out in our office. Two people were about to come to blows, yelling, escalating. And while everyone else either froze or looked away, this man calmly stood up, walked between them, and in the softest voice said, "We're not doing this. Sit down." And they did. Not because he shouted, not because he threatened, but because his presence was anchored. He radiated self-control and certainty. He didn't just avoid the fight, he ended it without violence. That's what being dangerously good looks like. Modern-day application, standing up when it's not popular. Let's bring it into today's world. You don't need to be in a fight or a heated moment to apply this. You might see someone being mistreated, at work, at school, even online. Most people will stay quiet. They don't want to get involved. They think, it's not my business. But powerful men don't run from discomfort. They step in with courage, not aggression. Maybe that means speaking up when someone's being mocked. Maybe it's saying, hey, that's not okay. It might feel small in the moment, but that kind of action can change the energy of a room. You become the man people look to, not because you're intimidating, but because they know you'll do the right thing when it counts. The inner work. Build capability first. Now let's be real, you can't be dangerously good if you're not capable. So before you can step in, you've got to build yourself up. Learn to regulate your emotions so you don't explode under pressure. Educate yourself, know what you stand for and why. Train your body, because strength gives you confidence and presence. Study conflict resolution, because most battles are won with calm heads, not raised fists. Being dangerously good means you're ready. Ready to act when the world needs you to, and it's not about being the hero. This isn't about being praised. In fact, most of your best actions will go unnoticed. But that's fine, because powerful men don't act for attention. They act because it's the right thing to do. They don't post about it. They don't boast about it. They just live it. Like the quiet guardian no one sees until the storm hits. Define your line. If you want to live by this principle, you need to know what you stand for. So here's a challenge. Write down the top 3 values you believe in. Then ask yourself, am I willing to defend these values when they're challenged? This is where power begins. Clarity. Because when you're clear on what you protect, you won't hesitate when the moment arrives. Real talk, it's not always easy. Let's be honest, being dangerously good will cost you. You might be misunderstood, you might have to stand alone, you might lose a few friends who were only there for the easy times. But in exchange, you gain self-respect. You gain the respect of people who matter, and you build a legacy that speaks for itself. Because at the end of the day, what's more powerful than a man who can fight, but chooses peace, who can dominate, but chooses integrity, who can stay silent, but chooses truth? So let's recap. Being good isn't about being weak, it's about being strong and kind. Be capable, be prepared, but use your power with intention. Don't seek credit, just do what needs to be done. Be the man who steps up when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, when it's risky. That's what makes you dangerously good. Transition to principle 3. All right, now that we've covered power with control, let's move on to a principle that fuels your growth for life. It's not about muscles and it's not about mindset. It's about wisdom and how it separates strong men from average ones. Let's dive into principle number 3. Principle 3, seek wisdom, not just knowledge. Welcome to principle number 3, and if you're serious about becoming a powerful man, you absolutely cannot skip this one. Seek wisdom, not just knowledge. Now that might sound like something from an old book or some monk on a mountain, but let me tell you, it's one of the most practical, real-world principles you'll ever hear. Because here's the thing. We live in the age of information. You can Google anything. You can binge podcasts, YouTube videos, online courses, books. Knowledge is everywhere. But here's the catch. Having knowledge doesn't make you wise. The difference between knowledge and wisdom. Let's clear this up right now. Knowledge is information. Wisdom is knowing how, when, and why to use that information. Knowledge is reading 10 books on communication. Wisdom is staying calm in an argument and choosing your words carefully so you don't destroy a relationship. Knowledge is knowing a quote from Marcus Aurelius. Wisdom is living it when life hits you in the face. See the difference? Wisdom is applied knowledge, and that's what gives you power. Why this matters in real life? Let's take a real-life example. Imagine you're in a heated discussion, maybe with your partner or your boss or even a stranger online. Knowledge says, I've read 10 books on emotional intelligence. Wisdom says, take a breath, don't escalate, choose clarity over ego. Or here's another one. You want to start a business. Knowledge says, I've watched all the Gary Vee and Alex Hormozi videos. Wisdom says, start small, build something useful, solve a real problem. Be patient. You see, knowledge can impress people, but wisdom impacts people. And a powerful man isn't looking to impress. He's looking to lead, to serve, to build. Where to begin? Become a curious student. So how do you develop wisdom? It starts by being a humble student of life. That means asking questions like, why do I react this way in tough situations? What patterns do I repeat that hold me back? What do the people I admire actually do differently? Powerful men are deeply curious, not just about facts, but about truth, not just about success, but about meaning. They read, they listen, they observe, not to be the smartest in the room, but to understand the world and their role in it. The wisdom loop: learn, apply, reflect. Here's a little framework I use. I call it the wisdom loop. 1. Learn something valuable. 2. Apply it in real life. 3. Reflect on the results. Repeat that loop again and again. That's how wisdom forms. It's not glamorous, it's not fast, but it works. Let's say you're learning about patience. Maybe you hear a Stoic idea like, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So, you try it. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of flipping out, you pause, breathe, let it go. Then at the end of the day, you reflect. Did that actually help me stay calmer? Did I feel more in control? That's wisdom in motion. Talk about what you learn. Want a quick way to know if you're learning deeply? Try explaining it to someone else. When you can break a complex idea down into something clear and simple, you're not just repeating facts, you're understanding. Start with a friend. Start with your journal. Start a YouTube channel if you want, but don't keep it in your head. Talk about it. Teach it. Own it. Cut the noise. Go for depth. Now let's talk about something important. Too much knowledge can actually make you weaker. Why? Because we confuse consuming with growing. You scroll, you watch, you absorb. But are you processing? Are you filtering? Wisdom is selective. A powerful man doesn't just collect information, he curates it. He asks, is this useful to the man I'm becoming? Is this aligned with my values? Am I applying this in my real life or just nodding along? You don't need to read 100 books. You need to live a few truths really well. Modern day wisdom in action. Let's bring this into today's world where things are moving fast and everyone's shouting. Wisdom looks like choosing to listen during a disagreement instead of dominating the conversation. Saying, I don't know, when you genuinely don't, instead of pretending. Asking questions in a meeting instead of pretending you understood everything. Admitting when you're wrong and fixing it. These moments build trust. They build depth. They make people feel safe around you. And trust me, that's power. Practical challenge: build your wisdom stack. So here's something powerful you can do starting today. Create your own wisdom stack. What's that? It's a short list of ideas, quotes, or truths that actually change how you think or act. Not stuff you heard once and forgot. I mean the things that stuck with you. Put it in your notes app, write it on your wall, review it weekly. Here are a few from mine. Discipline equals freedom. Jocko Willink. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca. Strong men are calm. Naval Ravikant. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Derek Sivers. Keep it personal. Make it yours. These aren't just quotes, they're your compass. Recap Principle 3. Let's wrap this up. Knowledge is easy to get. Wisdom takes work. Don't just consume, apply and reflect. Talk about what you're learning. Share it. Cut out the noise and focus on what actually changes you. Build your own stack of wisdom that guides how you show up in the world. Transition to Principle 4. So far, we've talked about doing good, being dangerously good, and now thinking wisely. But there's one thing that ties it all together. Something most people overlook, yet it's what keeps you grounded when life gets loud. Up next is Principle number 4, and it's all about calmness in chaos. Let's get into it. Principle 4. Stay calm in chaos. We've made it to Principle number 4, and this is where true strength shows itself. Stay calm in chaos. Now, I know that sounds almost too simple. Like, yeah, I get it. Be calm, sure. But let me ask you something, though the phone agrees. Have you ever lost control of yourself in the middle of a crisis? Ever said something in anger that you regretted immediately after, or froze up when things started to fall apart around you? You're not alone. Because most people, most men, were never taught how to stay composed when the pressure's on. And that's a huge problem, because if you can't stay calm, you can't think clearly. And if you can't think clearly, you can't lead, not yourself, and definitely not others. The storm is coming. Let me be real with you. Life will test you. You'll be betrayed, you'll face loss, you'll be overwhelmed with responsibilities, you'll be misunderstood, attacked, criticized, sometimes for doing the right thing. That's the storm. Now, you can't always control the storm, but you can control the way you stand in it. And that's where power is born. Calm is a skill, not a personality trait. This is important to understand. Staying calm is not about being a naturally chill guy. It's a skill that you can learn, develop, and master. And when you do, everything changes. People start looking to you in moments of crisis. You become the steady one in a shaky world. You make better decisions under stress. And even more importantly, you earn the respect of others and yourself. Example, the unshaken leader. Let me give you an example. A few years ago, I was working with a team on a big project. Deadline was tight, pressure was high, and something went wrong. A major file got deleted 48 hours before the launch. The whole team panicked. People started blaming each other, yelling, pointing fingers. One guy even walked out, but the leader, he didn't yell. He didn't panic. He sat down, took a breath, asked, "Okay, what do we know? What can we fix right now?" That single moment of calm shifted the entire energy in the room. Everyone started thinking again, working, solving, and yes, we pulled it off. He didn't save the project with talent, he saved it with calmness. That's leadership, that's power. What happens when you don't stay calm? Now let's flip it. What happens when you let emotions take over? You say things you can't take back, you break trust, you make decisions based on fear or ego instead of wisdom. That can cost you your job, your relationships, your reputation, even your sense of identity. Because a man who can't control emotions is a man controlled by them. And a man controlled by emotion is easily manipulated. By people, by politics, by pressure. That's not power, that's weakness with noise. How to build the habit of calm. Alright, so how do you actually become the man who stays calm in chaos? Here's what's worked for me and for many men I've coached. 1. Create morning stillness before the world gets loud. Start with quiet. It could be 10 minutes of deep breathing, a short walk, a cup of coffee in silence. No phone, no news, no notifications, just you, your breath, and your mind. This teaches your nervous system how to begin from calm. So when stress hits later, your baseline is already grounded. 2. Control your inputs. What you feed your brain matters. If the first thing you do each morning is scroll chaos, arguments, fear, bad news, don't be surprised when your mind feels like a war zone by 9 a.m. Instead, feed it wisdom, positivity, clarity. Watch what makes you stronger, not more anxious. Your attention is your diet. Choose what nourishes you. 3. Practice the pause. When something triggers you, pause. Seriously, just pause. 3 seconds, 5 seconds, a single breath. That pause creates space. And in that space, you reclaim your ability to choose your response instead of being hijacked by reaction. It's simple. It's powerful. It changes everything. 4. Shift the question. When chaos hits, most people ask, "Why is this happening to me?" But calm men ask, "What can I do right now that makes this better?" That one shift turns you from victim to leader, instantly. Calmness is contagious, and here's something most men don't realize. Your calmness doesn't just change you, it affects everyone around you. Your family, your friends, your team. When you stay calm, you give other people permission to do the same. You become the emotional anchor in unstable environments. That's rare. That's respected. That's remembered. In the fire, you're forged. Let me tell you something that took me years to understand. You don't really know how powerful you are until you stay calm while everything around you is on fire. And I don't mean fake calm, I mean earned calm, the kind that comes from training, discipline, and deep self-awareness. That's when people start to say, I don't know what it is about him, but he's solid. He doesn't flinch, he shows up the same, no matter what. That's power that can't be faked. Recap principle 4. So let's recap this principle. Chaos is inevitable, but panic is optional. Calm is not a gift, it's a skill you develop. Morning stillness, controlled inputs, and the power of pause all build your emotional muscle. The calmest man in the room often becomes the most powerful because he can lead while others lose control. Transition to principle 5. And that brings us to the final principle, one that pulls everything together. Your actions, your values, and the legacy you leave. Because it's not just about who you are inside. It's about how you show up when no one's watching. Let's move on to principle number 5. Let your values speak louder than your words. Principle 5. Let your values speak louder than your words. Here we are, principle number 5, the final one. If you've been following along, you've already got a solid foundation. You're choosing to do good. You've embraced the idea of being dangerously good. You're chasing wisdom, not just information. And you've trained yourself to stay calm in chaos. But now comes the part that cements everything. The part that defines how the world experiences you. Not in your best moments, but in the ordinary ones. Let your values speak louder than your words. The power of silent integrity. Let me ask you something. Who are you? When no one's watching, that's not a dramatic question. It's actually one of the most important ones you can ask yourself. Because at the end of the day, your character, your power, isn't built in front of people. It's built in silence, in solitude, in the moments where you could cheat, cut corners, lie, or act out of ego, but you don't. Why? Because your values won't let you. Why? Most people's words don't match their actions. You've probably seen this before. People who talk a big game, they say the right things, post the right quotes, wear the right labels, but their life doesn't match their words. They preach kindness, but treat waiters like garbage. They talk about loyalty, but gossip behind their friends' backs. They claim discipline, but can't keep a single promise to themselves. This is what I call borrowed virtue. It looks good from the outside, but it crumbles under pressure. A powerful man doesn't borrow his values, he lives them. Example, the one who doesn't speak, but everyone follows. Let me give you a real-world story. A friend of mine once worked at a company with 2 managers. One was the loud, motivational type, always talking about performance, culture, excellence. The other was quieter. He didn't talk much about values. He just embodied them. If there was a mess in the break room, he cleaned it without telling anyone. If someone was late, he didn't yell. He pulled them aside and asked if something was wrong. He showed up early, stayed late, never complained. Guess which one the team respected more? Yep, the quiet one. Because he didn't tell people what he stood for. He showed them. Your values are a compass, not a costume. Living by values isn't about appearances, it's about consistency. Anyone can be kind when it's easy. Anyone can be honest when the truth benefits them. Anyone can be brave when there's applause waiting on the other side. But when the moment is inconvenient, uncomfortable, or costly, that's when your values get tested. And that's also when people are watching most closely, even if you don't think they are. How to let your values speak without saying a word. Here's the key. You don't need to talk about what you believe. You just need to align your behavior with your beliefs. Here's how. 1. Clarify your core values. If you don't know what your values are, how can you live by them? Take time to define them. Keep it simple. Pick 3 to 5. Mine, for example, are integrity, courage, compassion, discipline, respect. Write yours down, make them visible, repeat them to yourself. Live by them like a code. 2. Check for alignment. Daily ask yourself, did I live by my values today? Where did I slip? Where did I stand tall? You don't need to be perfect. No one is. But the goal is awareness, and with awareness comes growth. 3. Let actions do the talking. You don't need to tweet it. You don't need a t-shirt with your values on it. You don't need applause. Just act in alignment, even when no one is around, especially then. Because eventually people notice, and more importantly, you notice. You start trusting yourself. And that self-trust, it's the deepest kind of power there is. Modern day application. If you hate the temptation you face, let's bring this into a modern context. Maybe you're in a job where no one respects the rules. Everyone cuts corners, steals time, passes blame. It's easy to fall in line, to tell yourself, everyone does it, why should I be different? But here's the truth. When you stay loyal to your values in a disloyal environment, you stand out. And that builds your reputation, even if it takes time. Or maybe you're in a relationship and temptation creeps in, a message from an old flame, a moment of emotional distance, or a fight that makes you want to walk away. In those moments, your values, not your feelings, should lead. That's the test. That's where power shows up, quietly, strongly. What you do becomes who you are. Every time you choose your values over your impulses, you're shaping something bigger than just your day. You're shaping your identity, and your identity shapes your life. You're not just a guy trying to be better. You're a man living by code. And over time, people will describe you not by your job or your status, but by your character. He's solid, he's dependable, he doesn't waver. If he says it, he means it. That's a legacy, that's power. Recap principle 5. So let's lock this in. Don't just talk about values, live them. Choose 3 to 5 core principles that define you. Check in daily to see if you're aligned. Let your actions, not your words, be your loudest voice. And in time, your values will become your reputation, even if you never say a word. And there you have it. 5 timeless principles that can truly reshape your life as a man. Let's be real. None of these are flashy. You won't find them trending on social media. They won't make headlines or go viral. But they're the kind of principles that build real power. The kind that doesn't need to shout, doesn't need to show off, because it speaks through your actions, your presence, and your consistency. Remember, you don't become powerful by pretending to be something you're not. You become powerful by showing up every single day with integrity, discipline, and courage. And you don't have to do it all at once. Start small, start with one principle, live it, embody it, practice it until it becomes who you are. Because who you are when no one's watching, that's your true strength. Now, if this video spoke to you, if something in here challenged you, inspired you, or gave you clarity, I want to say thank you for being here. I don't take your time for granted. I know you've got 1,000 things you could be watching, but you chose this. And that tells me you're serious about growth. If you found value in today's message, here's how you can support the channel in a way that's totally free, but means a lot. Click the like button. It helps more men find this kind of content. Subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive we do. And most importantly, drop a comment below and tell me which principle hit home for you the most and why. I read every single comment, and who knows, your insight might be the thing someone else needed to hear today. All right, that's it for now. Keep showing up, keep leveling up, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong and stay true.